Hello, and thanks for watching this Cloud9 ERP Solutions video and subscribing to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to show you how to enable field level audits. So what does that mean? Well, in any profile screen, we're looking at a customer here. You have the ability to go to Tools and go to Audit History. And it will tell you who created the record and when they created it, and who last modified the record and when they last modified it. And this is great for most areas of Acumatica. But you can also enable field level audits. And what that'll allow you to do is to monitor any given field or series of fields and see who changed those individual fields and when they changed those fields. So while this may be great for just seeing who last touched it, if you really want to know what changed and what it changed to and when it changed and who changed it, you'll need to enable field level audit. Now, you're not going to want to change this for every screen in Acumatica, and certainly the screens you change, we're going to talk about how to do it. Certainly the screens you change, you're going to want to minimize how much data you're collecting. Because if we're looking at a sales order, for example, and we're keeping track of every field, and every time anybody's gone in there and hit the save button, made any little slight change, you're going to get a lot of records and a lot of data of information. Your database will swell very quickly. So you definitely want to maybe use this when you need it, when you see a problem. But the goal should always be train your users properly, use security to enforce what people can change and what they can't change, trust them to make those changes because you've given them rights to it. And again, if there's a short period of time where you need to really audit it, then turn it on, but then again, turn it off as soon as you're done with your investigation. Before I continue, only 15% of you are subscribed. Hit that subscribe button now to get notified about new videos and events. So you'll notice if I have the rights, I have the ability to click this button here. So just going back, if I go to Tools, Audit History, I can click on Enable Field Level Audit, and it'll bring me to the audit screen where I can make the changes to what I want to actually monitor. So if we click that button, you can see the audit screen. You can get to this screen directly if you'd like. Just search for Audit. But then you'll need to pick the screen manually. And if we split the screen here so we can actually see the customer screen and the audit at the same time, that'll help us kind of identify what areas we really want to monitor. So now I've split my screen. I'm using Windows, so I have my browser in two halves of my screen. And on the left-hand side, you can see the audit. And you can also see the different tables. In database terms, we store everything into different tables. You can consider a table like an Excel spreadsheet, where it has a number of records, the rows, and it has the columns. Those are the fields of information. And that's what you see here is the fields inside this table. The rows you don't need to see because every single time someone makes a change to this customer here, a new record will be created, a new row will be created, and that's the information we're going to display in Acumatica. But you can see the layout of this customer profile. It's got general and address information and financial and billing and locations. They're not necessarily one-to-one to the tables that you see here. Now, if you're looking at the customer profile and you have customization rights, you can hold down the Control and Alt key on your keyboard and highlight a specific field, and you'll be able to see kind of what the view name is. The view name is a modified table, an array of tables and different type. It's a format that Acumatica puts it together, and they call it a view. So it may actually be multiple tables in order to show this particular field. Having said that, we know that this is an address. It's relatively straightforward for us. And we know that these are locations. But let's say we want to modify our shipping information. So that's located under locations because while this is your shipping information, it is a default location within our locations tab. So all of these different locations here all contain all the shipping information. So if we go over to our audit and we scroll over to locations, you can see your location at the top and all the individual fields down below. Now, what tables we want to activate, we check the box here. And what we can do with these different columns here is we can say, all right, show me all the true tables, meaning all the tables we expect to monitor. And right now that's address, B account, that's the summary of our customer. Customer, those are the customer details within the business account, and customer salespeople. So if we take, for example, the B account, you could see all the relevant fields in this general area and the summary area. So for example, if we want to monitor the external reference number, if we press Control-Alt and click on this field, we could see the account reference number, and over here on the left, we can see account reference number. If we want to monitor the zip code, well, that's a little different. That's under address, and if we want to do a search for it, we can actually click on this column and do a contains, but we can see it's right at the bottom. So maybe we want to monitor that as well. So essentially, you're going to check off all the fields you want. By default, Acumatica has included 4 tables and all of the different fields underneath those tables. It's going to monitor a lot of information, but you can go through and make all the changes that you need to the different tables and the fields that you'd like to monitor. So if we check active and save this, now if we go in and make a change to any of this information, let's say we change the external reference number. We looked at that before, it's under B account, but nonetheless, maybe we add something there. We'll put that in there, save it. And then employee B, for example, I didn't log into anybody else, but let's say somebody goes in and takes that out, and maybe they change it again to that number. And let's say we change this customer to a different customer class. We'll switch it to international, and we'll save it. Now, there's 2 ways to get to the audit history, and that's what it's called. This is for configuration. Audit history is actually for looking at the history. So you can look at it here, and you can bring up your screen. Only one will show, because that's the only one we've configured in our system. And you'll see at the top the different record, and at the bottom all the individual changes. And you could see, for example, the different changes that it's gone through and all that. We scroll over to the right. What we don't see is, for example, the reference number. So this is something that's just not there in this screen. However, if we go to our customer profile and we want to look from here, earlier we clicked audit history and it just gave us a dialog box about who created it and who modified it. But now, because we've enabled Field Level Audit, it'll bring us into a whole new tab on your browser that'll show you every iteration of change. So from the beginning, if we look, you can see here's the customer, and here's another change where the customer, the external reference number, was added this 1000. And if you continue on, you'll see all of the different changes and all the fields that changed throughout. So there's our customer class change. And here's when we changed the external reference number a couple of times. So that's how you can enable field level audits. You look at the audit history and see who created and modified. We showed that. And that could get you by for many different things, or who to talk to if there's a problem with a record. And as I mentioned before, I think security is the best way. Security and training are the best ways to prevent things like this from happening. However, there may be a time for investigation. So go in and enable your field level audit for any given screen. And then you can go through and monitor it. And then as soon as you're done with your investigation, highly recommend you turn it off. So hopefully you found this video useful. And if you did, please click the like button. And if you have any questions about this or anything else Acumatica, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and have a great day.